Back here with the 2000 Monte Carlo project. We're fixing a few things. Engine is currently in the vehicle. The old motor's over here. Take a walk, take a stroll. This is an engine that went out on me. It was a junkyard motor in the beginning, and I kind of refurbished it for use. Still have the junkyard name on it right here. I think it's Chavez, Cuevas, whatever. Yeah, I think it's Chavez. That's the junkyard I had purchased this from for like $450, I think. Either $450 or $550. But yeah, it served its purpose. I got about 50,000 miles out of it, and this happened. And I think it was the rear main seal cover back here. Excuse the mop. We're in the garage, so you'll see random things randomly here. But there's aluminum back plate right here. It has a valley for the coolant to go through here, and I believe here. And that gasket might have failed. So take a look back at the car. So we got a new oil. Depends oil. I'm using 530. I'm using a thin oil, but it is high mileage. I'm using high mileage 530 right now. I know this car takes 10W30, but I'm using high mileage low thin oil. Well, it's thick, but it's thin weight at the same time. Well, the weight has to do with weather and all kind of different conditions and components and mathematically, things, calculate things. So it's not a big deal right now. It's high mileage, but I went with the 530 instead of the 1030. I wanted something real light, even though it's still high mileage oil, which is a little bit thicker with different additives and whatnot, regardless of the fact. So we got a new filter in, the oil is in. I recently just purchased this oil pressure switch. The old one was leaking from where the plug goes into, and I didn't want to take a risk of starting the vehicle and having all that issue come on later, so we just swapped it out. What else I'm working on? Yeah, the alternator pigtail is being redone. I ordered this off eBay. It comes with the heat shrink tube and 2 butt connectors. And the reason I'm doing this is because this is what mine look like. These are regular I don't remember where I got these wires from. I think these are, I can't remember, but these aren't the correct wires. I used these when I made the video about using diodes to boost up the voltage on the alternator. And I had it glued in. You can see the glue in there and whatnot. Everything was glued in, and with wires, when you don't splice them correctly, like I did, and you don't connect them correctly, you get corrosion. You see this green, gangrene looking shit. So I'm going inside the actual harness. I'm backtracking all the way to maybe about back here. I will cut into these 2 wires. One is orange with the white line, and the one is red. I think it's all solid red. So one is okay, that one has a white stripe also. Or is that I believe it's red and white stripe and orange and white stripe. But yeah, one is excites the alternator, and the other one sends a signal to the dash to let you know what your voltage is. So that's basically what these 2 wires are for, but they're very important. Very, very important, especially in the Chevy. The motor is in, like I said, and we're tightening up everything, bolting down everything. The tensioner housing, I painted that. Got the little aluminum elbows in there. Everything is sitting nice right now. Everything's OEM, so we're doing last minute touches. Put the wheel back on, fire this thing up, and drive it out of the garage. But I'm making sure everything is on there like it's supposed to be before I even start it and move it. And that's basically where I'm at right now with the vehicle. Again, this is the original engine that was in the vehicle. And you go back to my video, died at 145,000 miles. It started making a knocking noise, and I never diagnosed it. I was in a rush. I went straight to the junkyard. I parked the car, went to the junkyard. I was driving my truck at the time. I swapped out the motor for a junkyard motor, and I just put this motor somewhere in the backyard in storage. So finally came to it that this one blew on me, and 8 months later I went to go grab this one a couple weeks ago and decided to put it back together and change out the harmonic balances, because I thought that's what the problem was. So when we start this, and I'll make another video of me letting it run, and I take the harmonic balancer from that engine and put it in on this one. And again, I showed you how it was clunking, and it was making exactly the same noise diagnosed in that video. Died at 145,000 miles. I was just so impatiently at the time with it. I could not, deal with the problem at hand. I couldn't diagnose. I just wanted to drive my car. Young and dumb, doing stupid shit. But eventually, I needed this engine again. I figured I would need it. That's why I didn't give it away or give it to the junkyard or whatnot. So I changed all the gaskets, redid the pan. I checked all the, valve and lifters, make sure everything is all right. Make sure everything moved freely. I actually spin the crank with my hand. I didn't have to use a drill or ratchet or anything. I could spin, holding the harmonic balance, I could spin the crankshaft with my hand. So that was a good sign, and I heard compression, so that's an even better sign. So this is the old 3800. It died at 145,000 miles. So technically this has 145,000 miles on it, even though my dash says like 189, 190. So I gotta take 50,000 off whatever the dash says, and that's what this one would be. So technically this has 145,000 miles on it. Yeah, I'm trying to make it sound like it's a brand new car, but it's not. But it's just to have the car running. I just want the car running, and I'm gonna let it run for like an hour, 2 hours. Check all the fluids. Check, we got fresh oil. I also ordered a new dipstick. You see it clean, nice and yellow. The valve covers, I cleaned them to the best of my ability. I did not choose to paint them, but I just wanted things to be clean thoroughly. That way, if anything leaks, anything breaks, anything makes a different sound other than what it's supposed to sound like, I want to pick it up and notice it, ASAP, as soon as possible. But all my knock sensors, everything underneath the vehicle, the speed sensor on the transmission itself, on the differential housing, everything is plugged in. My oxygen sensor back here, the upper and the lower, is plugged in. Brake booster, everything is plugged in. The last thing I'm doing right now before I start this car, is fixing this alternator pigtail. And then I'll just get a video of this vehicle running. It has, I'm using water in the radiator instead of coolant, because there's no point in wasting coolant if something's about to happen. So we're going to test it and whatnot. So I have oil, new oil filter, new dipstick, but we're using water for coolant. I have starter fluid right here if I need it. Also, I did purchase, where are they? I walk around here. I did purchase spark plugs. So I'm using the old plugs right now because I'm going to attempt to do seafoam. If you guys know what seafoam is, this is some good shit. And it was 2 for whatever. So I got 2, I think it was buy one get one half off. So I took the deal with that, and then I got the NGKs. Yes, I know this car takes either this Chevy used 2 and only 2 plugs that I know of. Is either AC Delco or Auto Lights. And I choose NGK because it was the cheapest, best option for me right now. Again, we're not trying to spend too crazy of money on this vehicle. I just want to get up and running. So I'm using the old plugs right now to start the vehicle, and I'm going to use the seafoam on it to clean the injectors and the lifters, valves, and whatnot. And after I'm done with all that, I'm going to take these plugs out and put the new ones in, and that should be good for at least 10,000 miles. If I even drive the car, because it's still for sale. So I'm trying to get up and running. I'm using these plugs to do the fuel injection cleaning. I got starter fluid if I need it. And that's it. Damn, this video is 10 minutes already. Shit. But that's about it. This is an update. Battery right here. Excess power. I move it from the back to the front. I've been charging over there on my Black & Decker battery charger. So again, everything is tightened up. We got the starter down here. AC compressors connected. Everything is bolted on. I never took the AC apart because I didn't want to lose any refrigerant, Freon, and none of that. So everything is here. It's nice and clean at the bottom. Give you guys the bottom view right now. We got some oil wet spots. That's from me taking off the old filter, and I kind of had to smash it because it was on. That shit was on there, so I had to smash it and get it under there. But that's where you see this wet spot from. That's not from the engine itself. We haven't even started up yet. The only wet spot you might notice is back here on this power steering. This is the return line. I had to cut it and move the clamp back and force it in there and reattach it, because anybody that knows about rubber hoses, especially with the power steering, after a while the connection, the joint itself, the connection in that part of the hose, I don't know if it's because of the heat or whatnot, but it opens up on its own, like it expands. So you have to trim it where, you know, it's the smaller size, well, the regular size here. So I would just trim it and then move it forward and push it into the little nipple that it goes into, and you'll get a tighter fit on there. But this is not the high pressure hose line. The high pressure is right here, but this is the return line, and it's just as important as the high pressure, and we don't want anything leaking. So after I start this vehicle, I'm gonna clean everything up back here. I got a little spray bottle with the greaser, and we're gonna make sure there's nothing leaking. I want a healthy vehicle running right now. So yeah, that'll be the next video. That's probably either tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm not sure yet, but this is as far as we got with the vehicle, and we're getting ready for the startup. So yeah.